Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And the First Amendment that you've laid out, standing in my name, is indeed opposition to Clause 8, standing part of the bill. Linked to that is my opposition to the schedule. My opposition to this is consistent with my party's, which has a founding principle, which is support for and promotion of traditional family values. This is a founding principle of my party and one that made me choose TUV. As the schedule to the bill details, it amends the 1976 order to insert the term second female parent and substitutes the words both parents with both the mother of a child and the father or second female parent of that child. For me, this amendment permits me to put some important facts on the record. I believe that a child needs both a father and a mother. That is a biological reality which has held true for as long as there has been life on this planet. And while there are sadly occasions where families break up, that does not negate the need for a father in the conception of any child. Writing fathers out of any child's life is wrong. This is being done in the schedule, Clause 6 in subsection 3. There will be those in this House who will take strong exception to me saying that. I accept that, but my convictions on this issue, such as this, is what has brought me to this House. And while I'm here, I'll continue to stand up for traditional family values, but more importantly, be directed by my faith. My convictions won't allow me to ignore the fact that this issue is contained within the bill. Anyone who shares that belief will join me in the lobbies later on, and I'll certainly welcome the company. Next up, I have tabled Amendment number 4. In this amendment, I am seeking to ensure that the regulations may, if, and if is the key word there, if the applicant wishes, include the name and sex of the baby and any other biographical information, plus a statement that the applicant recognises the baby as a member of their family. Parents who want to name their baby on their certificates can. Parents who don't want to won't have to. Parents can add a line saying, "We recognise," insert the baby's name, "as a member of our family." But to be clear, only if they choose to. Why do that? Because grief is personal. Some families name their baby and want that name in print. This amendment will allow them to do just that. Others prefer not to. This amendment gives choice, not compulsion. It turns a cold form into a living memorial to the little one that they have sadly lost. Turning to Amendment number 5, this amendment makes provision for a certificate to be issued following a termination of a pregnancy. I remind the House that during the second stage debate in this bill, when I mentioned the issue of abortion, Mr. Blair, who at the time occupied the Speaker's chair, interrupted my contribution to say, and I'll repeat it for the debate today, "This is not a debate on abortion, and it is not going to become one. It is a respectful debate. Members have provided some very poignant examples today. The rest of the debate will continue in the same vein and will not divert to another issue." With those comments on the record, it is important to clarify what this bill actually does and who it does not exclude. The system must allow parents who lose a baby through termination to apply for a certificate, but only if they want one. There is no forced participation. There is no clinical handout as misrepresented by some in the media. A woman who miscarries at 20 weeks can apply for a certificate. A woman who has an abortion at 20 weeks, perhaps due to the fact that she has been told that her child will not survive outside the womb, should be able to do so as well. Happy to give way to Mr. Fruit.
The member for giving way, because I think he has hit on a really critical and important point on this issue, and I think, to be fair to the member, it then gives the intent of the amendment that he has laid. Would it also be the case that in the previous law in this land, whereby if the mother's life was at risk, that a baby would be aborted to save the mother's life, that in that situation they should also receive or apply for, if they so wish, a baby loss certificate to mourn and mark the loss of that child?
I thank the member for his intervention, and absolutely it gets to the nub of this issue of what we're trying to achieve. In the case that he has outlined before the House today, absolutely, and a wee minute, absolutely, that baby that has been aborted, because they've been advised that the mother's life is at risk, that mother then should be able to apply for a certificate if they so wish. I have read a lot of commentary in the media over the weekend where, quite frankly, these amendments have been misrepresented. And that is wrong to do that. Let's be very clear.
Is the member saying then that it would be wrong that a mother in that situation, who has just lost her baby through abortion to protect her and save her own life, that she shouldn't be excluded from receiving a baby loss certificate?
Nobody should be excluded. It's up to the parent, to the choice. It has to be a choice-based issue, and nobody should be excluded. So if that mother wants to apply for a certificate, they should be able to do so. Yes, some have said leave it to the regulations, but I want this in the face of the bill. I want it to be very clear that if somebody wishes, and only if they wish, to apply for a certificate, that they will have the opportunity to do so. I'll give way to Mr. O'Toole first, and then we'll...
So, what you have done, quite apart from one might speculate about the reasons for putting down abortion specifically, but what you're doing by putting it in the face of the bill, rather than wait for regulation, which every other bit, the detail of these certificates is going to be, you are separating that one form of baby loss out from on the form of a pregnancy ending from all of the other forms, and I could go through all of the many traumatic, difficult circumstances in which pregnancies are lost or are ended, but you have chosen to single this one particular thing out and leave all the others for regulation. So my question is, why? Why does this one particular form of a pregnancy ending have to be dragged out and put in the face of the bill, other than to pick this particular fight?
My question to you, Mr. O'Toole, is we're talking about loss. Everyone agrees that loss matters, so why fear the clarity of putting this in the bill? I think it's important that this is in the bill, especially after the comments that Mr. Blair made when he was in the chair during the previous stage, that we have to bring clarity to this debate. And might I say, these clauses have been placed since, was it the 23rd of June? So this isn't, dropped in at the last minute. This is something that has been tabled well in advance, and it's only the members who have created this opposition, this hysteria, has made this an issue. I'll give way to Ms McCullough.
I do thank the member for giving way. I wasn't going to speak on this issue, but if you talk about putting it on the face of the bill, section 11, subsection 2, the regulations may provide for the recognition of any loss which is not a stillbirth. That's on the face of the bill. That's covered. You mentioned that you're talking about loss. It's right there, black and white in front of us.
Thank you for the intervention. Based on the comments by the Deputy Speaker previously, as I've already said, I feel it's important to have this on the face of the bill. Happy to give way to Ms Armstrong.
I do thank the member for giving way. This is an important discussion today on a piece of legislation that will have an impact on many people. Could I just say that we should have said, and perhaps the member would agree with me, that this is a very triggering and upsetting use of language. As a former bereavement counsellor, using the word abortion to someone who has miscarried when it's on their medical records as a spontaneous abortion is incredibly callous and cruel. And I think, to be honest, using it in language on the face of this bill, when it already covers all forms of loss, is more of a political point scoring and harming women than it is anything about actually making good legislation.
I certainly don't accept that at all, that this indeed is point scoring. I have been open, I have been honest, I have tabled these amendments well in advance, and the only issues that have arisen from this has been by Mr O'Toole and indeed Mr Tennyson in the paper over the weekend. I have never tried to raise this as a political issue, but it is very important. This is something I feel convicted to bring to this chamber, and that's why I've done it. And I've tried, and I will continue to be as sensitive as I can on this issue as we progress. But getting back to my comments on this amendment, it is important that those that have had an abortion, in some cases later on, they deeply regret doing so. Giving them the option to apply for a baby loss certificate would help with the process of dealing with that loss. Denying women in either circumstance that option or suggesting it is wrong, that indeed to me is cruel. My amendment removes that barrier. It says grief does not discriminate by cause. Importantly, it mirrors the Scotland scheme, which already includes medical terminations, without controversy, without compulsion. And I'll just read here from the Scottish scheme. So this is the FAQs, the Memorial Book of Pregnancy and Baby Loss prior to 24 weeks. And on page 3, it says, I had a termination, can I apply for a certificate? Yes, if you wish to have a record of your loss, you can apply for a certificate. So all I am trying to do here is to replicate that scheme that already exists in Scotland. Every year, thousands of families in Northern Ireland lose a baby before 24 weeks, some through miscarriage, some through medical necessity, some through abortion. All of them grieve. All of them deserve dignity. My amendments do not judge. They do not compel. They include, but only if requested. I urge MLAs from all parties to support my amendments 4 and 5 as acts of basic human kindness. Parents who have lost a baby, however that loss happened, should never be told your grief doesn't count. I have heard some suggest that MLAs should leave all this to the regulations. My question is this: which of my amendments do you disagree with? I understand there will be deep division in relation to my opposition to Clause 8 and the schedule, but who is opposed to a family including the name and sex of the baby and any other biographical information, plus a statement that the applicant recognises the baby as a member of their family on a baby loss certificate? Who is suggesting that someone who has had an abortion, perhaps as a result of medical advice, should be denied a baby loss certificate? Mr Speaker, I commend my amendments to the House here this morning.